Okay, ready. Hello, everybody. How are we feeling today? Yeah, come on. How are we feeling this Sunday? Yes, we're in a room full of beautiful faces. And can we just give a round of applause for this amazing panel before we get started? I'm so excited to be moderating this panel on the beauty of self-care. So my name is Shakaila Forbes-Bell. I am an author of the book Big Dress Energy, and I'm a fashion psychologist. So I'm all about the well-being behind your style, what it means to you, how it's expression of creativity, expression of your identity and who you are. And just to kick things off, I think we should get everyone to give their one wellness hack. So, of course, I'm a fashion psychologist, so mine would be, when you get up in the morning and you put your clothes on, actually check in with yourself. Think about how you feel. I think a lot of the times we just do things on autopilot, but we don't realize that our clothes have the power to shift our mood, shift the way we think, shift the way that people interact with us. You have the power over your narrative, so choose clothes that allow you to express your most authentic self. So that's my tip, and I'm going to hand it over to the beautiful Chloé Pierre. Why don't you introduce yourself and give everybody your one wellness hack?
Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Chloé Pierre. I am the founder of a wellness platform called Thyself, which aims to actualize wellness and self-care and make it more accessible to especially people that look like us. I also wrote the book Take Care, which is a wellness guide for Black women. I'm a mother, and I'm a creative strategist as well. I'm sure there's more, but I can't think right now.
What would your one wellness hack be, Chloe?
My wellness hack, I would say, is just to take a moment, unclench your jaw, and drink a lot more water. Really simple, but these things are key to our survival and also just making sure that we're okay.
Especially in these dry winter months. God, we need that hydration. All right, taking it over to you, Miss Trina Nicole. Introduce yourself and tell your one wellness hack.
Hi, everybody. My name is Trina. I'm a model, dancer. I'm a Nike dance ambassador, and I'm the founder of the Curve Catwalk, which is a plus-size dance class to really focus on how you feel as opposed to how you look. And I started that because I felt really ostracized in the dance space, and I wanted somewhere where I could feel free and take up space unapologetically, like without judgment, and just feel good in my body. And my hack definitely relates to that. So I would say, like, change your physiology and focus on changing your physiology, because that effectively will affect your emotions. Your emotions will then affect your thoughts affect your behavior, and ultimately can change your life. And changing your physiology can just look like putting on your favorite track and just dancing freely in the morning, moving your body. So, yeah.
That. And if you follow Trina, you'll see, just watching her feed, you'll be encouraged to get up and move. Like, she just kills it. Moving on, Dr. Joyce, thank you so much for being here today. Please tell the people about yourself and give your hack.
Of course, thank you so much for having me. So my name is Dr. Joyce Omashaye. I'm a doctor, a GP trainee at the moment. I'm passionate about women's health. I'm also the founder of Aranini Health, which is an organization that aims to create safe spaces for women to learn about their health. So for me, a hack has to be health related. I feel like you know your body more than anyone else, and every day I want you to listen to your body. If you feel like something is not right, it probably isn't, and it's always good to go and get that help and get that support. And another hack is to always be up to date with your screening programs and check your breasts and make sure you're on it with your cervical screening. Prevention is better than cure. So yeah, that's one hack I think.
So true. I think we all have put off an appointment here or there, but
so important.
Today,
everyone's going.
We need to not do that. Thank you so much. And then moving on to Alexis Lee, aka Style Me Sunday. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and give us your hack?
Hello, everyone. I'm Alexis. I've recently changed my name, so it's new. I'm trying it on for size. I am. This is so hard. I always forget. I've written a book called Feeling Myself on sexual shame, which I think we all need. I am 43, so I think I'm representing the older women here on a very young panel. And I am, what else? A content creator. I do podcasts, host podcasts, run courses. I'm also training to be a psychotherapist. So yeah, I do quite a lot. And did I say I've got two girls, teenagers, two teenagers? I used to be a midwife. God, everything, literally.
You're just doing everything. Tell us, what would your one hack be?
Okay, because I'm training to be a psychotherapist, I think I would say start that therapy fund early, because life will fuck you up and you will need therapy. Promise, I promise.
No, I feel that desperately. I think we all could do with a bit of therapy, so thank you so much. Moving on to Toni Tone, tell us about yourself and what was your one wellness hack?
Hi everyone, my name is Toni. I'm a content creator. I've written 2 books. One is called I Wish I Knew This Earlier, Lessons on Love. It's all about relationships. And the second is Take Note, and that's about like confidence and friendships and just managing life. I'm also a podcast host, a speaker, and what else? Again, I always lose track. Have I said content creator? Yeah. As far as my wellness tips, I'm going to share some more, I guess, during this panel, but one I want to share with you, or maybe 2. I kind of stole these. I was listening to Diary of a CEO, and there was an episode that he did, Stephen Bartlett did, with a lady called the Glucose Goddess. And she was talking about the importance of managing your blood sugar and how blood sugar affects us in so many different ways: mental health, physical health, inflammation, and whatnot. And she shared 2 hacks that I'm going to save them with me for the rest of my life. The first was, when you're eating, always start with your veggies. If you have a veggie portion, start with your veggies, because eating vegetables first help you kind of like level out your blood sugar and leave your carbohydrates till last. And the vegetables also create a coating in your gut that helps you. And the second was, if you want something sweet like cake or cookies or whatever it is, have a glass of water and put a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar in it to help regulate your blood sugar. Like, it doesn't have, I mean, obviously you have to exercise and whatnot, so it's not like it's not like a miracle cure, but it's been shown to just give you a little boost when it comes to like blood sugar regulation. And so yeah, those are 2 hacks that I think were quite cool.
Oh, that's so good. See, I used to eat my vegetables first and the meat last, because I just like to save the best for last. Like, I don't know.
That's good. Yeah. Apparently it's good for you.
But speaking about saving the best for last, Miss Gina, tell us about yourself and what's your one wellness hack?
Hey guys, I'm Gina Nipah. I'm a hairstylist. I'm the owner of Happen Beauty Lounge, a plus size model, and just a girl from South London, basically. A wellness hack for me is taking off your headscarf every day, guys, and not leaving your house with it on. Because I feel like sometimes we just like time, or like you just can't be bothered and you just kind of like don't show up. And I feel like if you look good, you feel good. I'm not saying you've got to put a full face on, but just take off your headscarf, brush your hair, and then just, leave your house. It's a real, guys, because some of my stylists, they tried to come in with a bonnet once, and we said, we don't do that here. Because honestly, I feel like it does make you feel that little bit better. Yeah. Like some people putting on earrings, just a little thing that you can control. Yeah. I think that's what we should be doing.
That's so true. Like the little things, they go a long way. So I want to kick off the questions. I want to start with you, Alexis. So I just love seeing your journey from moving from fashion into being like a strong advocate for body confidence, mental health, healing. Can you share what wellness means to you personally and how it intertwines with your mission to promote a positive and holistic approach to self-image?
What does wellness mean to me? I think wellness means everything. Like, don't ever take one thing in isolation. Like, the mind and the body all work all together, and it's a system. So as much as I would advocate for therapy, that's not the only thing you can do, because that's very cognitive and that's about talking, but also don't forget things like breath work and moving and all of that kind of stuff. So it's just take a holistic view on your wellness and take it seriously. Take it really seriously. The image one. I think the best thing for me to increase your self-image is to work on your people-pleasing skills. I think, stop doing that, basically. Not work on it, stop doing it. Because ultimately you're betraying yourself by trying to please everyone else. And it's a form of manipulation as well. People pleasing, you're not being your true self. And as soon as you start to show up authentically, your self-image will increase. You will have less, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because, you're being you. You're showing up. No one knows you better than you know yourself. So, show up authentically. And I think that's my tip for increasing your confidence and your self-image.
I think that's beautiful. I think sometimes we forget that we can people please ourselves into losing ourselves. And then that does translate into the way that you dress and show up. So I think that's a brilliant tip that we should all take on board. Chloé, I want to come to you. So you've been promoting your amazing book, Take Care, and I read an interview with you in The Independent, and something resonated with me. You were talking about growing up, and I think especially as a black woman, we're taught that, you need to work twice as hard. That's like the main lesson, I think, that gets stuck with us. And you said something about we're not taught how to take care of ourselves. We're not taught that at all. So firstly, why do you think that is? And through your work, what are you doing to make sure that that's no longer the case?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I think, and yes, I can speak for myself, but I can also speak for a lot of people around me that I grew up with. We aren't necessarily taught how to take care of ourselves overall as a community, as this demographic within our community. And I think that is because it's a survival technique. However, survival is taking care of ourselves. So there's just a missing link there. I think survival has previously looked like us showing up, looking a certain way, looking the part, but not necessarily allowing each other, and I would say that because sometimes we're taught from other people, we're not exactly teaching or allowing each other to show up as ourselves, to look deeper into ourselves, look and see who we are, what we need, what we appreciate, what we don't, what works for us, what doesn't. So I think that's a massive part of my work today, is to encourage people to do that, is to find different ways of doing that, whether that's therapy, whether that's, looking at your health. There's so many ways, being active, being mindful. Breath work is something that I truly believe in. It's got me out of some really tricky situations that I've had to deal with along my life journey. But yeah, what I would say is that allow yourself that time to figure out who you are and what you need. When I mentioned taking a big deep breath, unclenching your jaw, drinking water, these are really simple steps that we often forget to do. And I'm seeing a few people nod in the crowd, and it's true. We don't do that. We're always on autopilot. So that could be taking care of ourselves. That could be a first step. It's something that is accessible, and I think everyone should be doing that more often.
I think that's brilliant, and I know we're dropping a lot of gems on this panel. If you have any questions, just save them. We're going to have a nice chunky Q&A question session after this, but I think that's a brilliant point, and especially on this panel, I'm sure a lot of you in the audience, especially in this day and age, we're so busy. There's so many things you have to do. No one even really has a normal 9 to 5. Now we have the 24-hour job. We have our side hustles. We have our family. We're constantly working. On the other side of that, though, it is true that productivity does make us feel good. It releases happy hormones, endorphins. It makes us feel happy, but then it's easy, Trina, I'm sure you'll know this, to trickle into burnout, especially someone like you with several jobs that you'll get going on. So I'm sure people would love to know, how do you manage that? How do you bring yourself back from burnout?
Am I managing it? I don't know. No, but honestly, I feel like I'm still learning. I think that's the honest answer. I don't think I have it figured out at all. I'm still trying to balance. Well, I don't know if I actually believe in such thing as balance, but I'm trying different things. I think I was talking to Chloé about this earlier. I think one of the key things for me has been asking for help and delegating. I think so often we don't ask for help and we feel like we constantly have to do everything ourselves. I know that has definitely contributed to burnout for me. So becoming more comfortable with asking people for help, actually leaning on my community. And I found that actually a lot of people are more than willing to help, actually, if you just ask. And people aren't going to know you need help if you don't ask. So asking for help and delegating for sure. And also something that I'm implementing at the moment is changing what work looks like for me. Growing up, it's you have to do a 9 to 5, or now it's changed where, yes, everybody's doing multiple things, and yeah, it's almost glamorized to be working until 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'm still out working, and I really had to like set boundaries. So I would work 7 days a week, and like that's normal. Whereas now I put in boundaries where I do not work on weekends. Like I'm not at my desk, like on my laptop on weekends. Like you're not going to contact me, and I think that really helped, because then having those boundaries in place, now people know that, whereas before, my phone's still ringing, people are still calling me about work-related stuff, people are still emailing me, so that definitely contributed. So changing my way of work and figuring out how I can also get my time back, I think that's really important. So yeah, just finding out what sort of work structure works for you. And then also for me, I would say like active rest, like actually thinking about what rest looks like for you. Like for me personally, sitting in front of the TV with my feet up doesn't do much for me, and I love that it does. I mean, I'm kind of jealous. I wish I could do that and feel like, yeah, I'm super recharged, but that doesn't work for me. So something for me like actually going on a walk, or I don't know, going to a dance class actually helps me feel recharged. So it's about like finding out what type of rest works for you, and active rest is actually something that helps with my burnout. And I think it's being in spaces where I can sort of like mentally almost like just be in a different space. So like if I'm going to a dance class, for example, even though I teach dance, I also go to dance. So that hour or that hour and a half, like I'm not thinking about my to-do list. I'm actually just being like, what did she just do? What count is that? And my mind is somewhere else. I feel like having that space to just breathe literally makes a really big difference for me and with my burnout as well. Yeah. But I'm still on a journey.
Yeah, I think it's important to have that level of escapism, especially when your work is you and you are your brand, and it's hard to like disconnect from the two. But I love what you said about, as much as we're giving excellent tips I'm hearing so far, you have to do what's specific for you, and I think take burnout seriously, because it doesn't just impact your mental health, it impacts your physical health, which is something I want to speak to you about, Dr. Joyce. So we often hear the term like health and wellness, but I think a lot of people think about them as two separate concepts, but I think the more correct term is health is wellness. So how do you kind of agree with that, about the interconnection between health and wellness? And maybe personally, how do you experience health and wellness?
I think even having a wellness panel, like, is not just, it's so multidimensional. And as a healthcare professional, I think we think, when we think about health, it's always physical health, because it's so easy for you to notice your sore throat in the morning, or that your finger is quivering or something. But I think for me, health is wellness. It's a part of wellness. We have physical health, we have emotional health, we have mental health. And I think it's very important that we pay attention to all those aspects of things. And I love what you said about waking up every morning and checking in on yourself. Like, how am I actually doing? Because you can be physically well, you can have had all your checks, and still not feel great, and still not have those routines, or not feel great or ready for the day ahead of you. So for me, I definitely agree that health is wellness. And I think when we think about wellness, we can't think about one thing. And we also can't put too much pressure on that one thing. So you said how I kind of incorporated it into my life. Like, I feel like I'm very busy. There's a lot I want to do within medicine and outside medicine. But one thing I do for myself to, be well is to give myself grace, and to also know when it's time to, there's seasons for everything. So I'm a very routine-based person. So I schedule everything. If I schedule going to work, I schedule going to gym, I schedule calling my mom and dad, because I want to make sure I don't forget. So for me, I need to write it down so I don't forget. So for me, community is part of my wellness. My family and friends are huge parts of me being okay. And I think it's interesting I'm doing a wellness panel today, because this week has probably been the week where I was like, ooh, there's a lot going on. And I actually had my community pull me back and be like, you know what? You're fine. You can delay things, you can breathe, and you can relax. And it's exactly what I needed. When I woke up today, I was like, actually, I know what I'm going to tell everyone today. Having my community makes me feel well. Making sure I can get up and check in on myself and actually be like, you know what, this is how I feel today, so this is how I'm going to change. The way I go makes me feel well. And also, having other things outside a 9-to-5 job that is already quite stressful. So for me, my passion projects, the fact that I get to speak to other women, the fact that I get to educate people online about women's health conditions makes me feel happy. So I think it's really like, it's going to be unique to every one of you. Like, we can all give you hacks, but you know exactly what makes you happy. You know the things that make you, calm and that fills your cup. And I don't think we need to make it complicated. I think keeping it very simple. And for me, it may be routines and also giving myself grace, and it's also my community. But yeah, that's me.
I think that's amazing, having your community there, not just for support, but like you said, letting them tell you, like, okay, you're doing too much. Like, we were talking backstage, like, even support with your family on top of all the work you're doing, like, it can be a lot. So just having being open and honest and listening to your community as well, not just thinking you know best. I think that's so beneficial for your health and well-being. Amazing. I want to come to you, Gina. Gina, you are an owner of the Happen Beauty Lounge, and something I recently discovered, doing my research for my book about fashion and psychology and beauty psychology, is that having a good hair day can actually positively impact your mental health. Scientific studies have proven that. So why do you think a good hair day is such a powerful source of wellness, especially for Black women?
For me, I feel like with the salon, we kind of operate on a mantra of look good, feel good. And we have so many women come in who maybe have just had babies or had breakups or just don't feel themselves and they just want something new. So they come in and they sometimes give you free range, or they've seen something online they want to try. And they just want to I feel like it's a level of escapism from feeling what they normally feel like, or potentially what they see themselves looking like. And I feel like it's a level of therapy for them. And I just feel like it's self-care. I feel like Black women, we already have some complexes in terms of what's beautiful and what's not. So as a salon, we teach fathers how to do their daughters' hair. And then sometimes when we even hear the words that the dads say to the daughters about their hair, it's not an intentional negative thing. I think it's just the lingo we use as Black people. So even a bit of banter, oh, you little dry head. But it's funny, but when you think about it, it's not funny, because that kind of registers in their mind. And I feel even unfortunately to say, some people that have been in relationships and have been cheated on, when they look at the other woman, maybe she has a type of hairstyle or a type of weave what they don't have, then they start comparing. And I feel like there's so many layers to what we register hair and beauty as, that when you come into the salon, you just want to kind of be free from the negative connotations. And it's that's what I was saying earlier. Sometimes take off your headscarf, or sometimes just brush your edges, during the week, I don't do nothing crazy to my hair. It's literally just brushed, but it's decent enough, or sometimes it's, I'm not gonna lie, because some of you have been to the salon, so I shouldn't lie. But generally, it's decent enough that if I had to go somewhere, or if I had to show up, I don't feel embarrassed, or I don't feel oh my gosh, I look so shabby. And I feel like we internalize so much as people anyway. The things we can control, i.e. our hair, the clothes we wear, the perfumes we wear, our body odor, it's important to take control of those things, because you can control that, You can't control how you feel after having a baby, or feel after having a breakup, or just how you feel after working so much, like what Trina was saying. So many of us have a 9-to-5, then a little side hustle, and our mothers or sisters or best friend to someone who's breaking down, but you're breaking down, but you got to put your breakdown aside to make sure there's so much that internally we can't kind of give. I feel like the one thing, it's not only the one thing, but something like your hair, make that flow. Just make it blow in the wind, because you actually will feel so much better. We've got so many messages with people who've had hair loss, or maybe their edges ain't how they want it, and they've come in, we've done something to cover it up and make them feel great. Had a client who literally broke down in a shop crying that she's never felt this good, and then she got home and she texted us what her husband said to her. The next day, they had great sex, and I was like, girl, but these things are so real. And I was like, I'm happy for you, because the reality is you feel desirable, you act desirable, you move desirable, and it actually does help your home as well. So, yeah.
I think that's beautiful, and that is like psychology as well, like just having that sense of power.
I'm an unpaid therapist, I'm telling you.
No, it's true. There is research talks about hairstylists almost acting like therapists and clinicians, and I think what you said about control is so important, because we can look on the news today or just scroll on our timelines, and a lot of things are happening right now that makes us feel like we have no power, but you have the power to choose how you show up in the world, and that includes how you look and how you do your hair, and it can be really freeing. Like you said, I hate the idea of having a signature style or a signature look, because that kind of puts you in a box, and like having these different hairstyles allows you to escape that. So that's so beautiful. Thank you, Gina. And then I want to come to you, Toni. So if you follow Toni on Twitter, you'll just see it's like a stream of good advice. She is the internet's big sister. So I couldn't just ask you one question. I think I want you to provide us with your 3 top tips for people starting their wellness journey. And then I think I want to ask all of you your 1 tips for people starting their journey. So use this time to have a little think, and we'll come to you first, Toni.
So for the people who don't know me, one thing I like talking about a lot is love and relationships. So I have to throw in a loved one. 1 tip, if you date men, do not love any man more than you love yourself. If you date women, do not love any woman more than you love yourself. I love my partner, but I love me more. And I think that's so important, because I look back at the times in my life where I prioritized men over myself, and my well-being was in the bin. Because as women, we pour into people. Even if we're giving someone 50% of us, it's still a lot, right? We pour into them. So in your relationships, understand that you are your number 1 priority. And that's not just for your romantic relationships. Even within family context, I always joke and I say to my mum, after God, it's me. After God, it's me, and then I'll look after you. But it's true, because when you are taking care of yourself, you can take care of the people you love. You can pour into them completely, right? Because your cup is overflowing. My 2nd tip, understand that your bedroom is such an important space, and specifically your bed. Invest in your bed, because sleep is key. If I have not had adequate sleep, everyone around me is suffering. I'm suffering, and everyone else around me is suffering. Like, in every single way, my mental health, my emotional health, my beauty sleep, my skin, everything is affected. And for that reason, I invest in my bed. When I was younger and I would see people buy like £400, £500 mattresses, I said, what? There's mattress for £1,000. I would go on eBay or Amazon and find one cheap new £100 mattress, right? And think that would be fine. And then 3 months, the coils are jabbing me. I'm not sleeping properly. Even the other day, like I ordered, this was like a month ago, I ordered a new pillow because I was getting really bad neck pain and it was giving me migraines. And my mom was like, hey, that's how much you're spending on pillow. I said, Mum, it's an investment. I've been having the best sleep since. So invest in your bedroom and your bed. You want your bed to be comfy. You want your mattress to be good. You want to have a good pillow. You want your bedroom to feel cool enough that you have comfortable sleep. Once I started investing in making my bedroom a very safe space and my bed, like a good quality bed, then yeah, my life changed for the better in so many different ways. And then my 3rd tip would be, someone's already talked about boundaries, so I won't talk about boundaries, but I will talk about perspective and the importance of having a positive perspective and outlook in life and how that impacts your well-being generally. I did a talk for To My Sister's podcast not too long ago, and I mentioned that in my life, when I analyze things that happen, everything, even the bad stuff, is happening for me, not to me. In everything that happens, I always think, this is really annoying, but why is this, God, why is this happening for me? What is the lesson I need to pull away from this? Why is this going to benefit me in the long run? I think that's really important, because often when we think everything is happening to us, we are less solution-focused. We have this like, woe is me mentality, and we can often dwell in the suffering and the pain, and it just grows and grows and grows. But because I think everything is happening for me, I'm solution-focused. Like, what is the lesson? Like, what is the goal? What am I going to gain from this horrible thing? What is it going to teach me that is going to improve my life in the long run? And in changing your perspective, I think it also changes how you speak to yourself. So because everything is happening for me and not to me, I don't beat myself up. I talk to myself with so much compassion and kindness. I think having a positive mindset makes such a difference, because in everything that we're discussing today, whether it's like your eating, your medical health, whether it's exercise, you are going to mess up at some point. You will face hurdles along the way, and if you don't have positive perspective, if you don't talk to yourself with kindness, you're going to blame yourself for your failings. I never do anything right. I'm useless. This is why my well-being is rubbish. I can never focus. I'm so terrible. No, you're not terrible. Everyone makes mistakes. Why is this happening for you? What is being taught to you in this moment? So I could speak all day, but yeah, those are my three.
No, I think it was brilliant. And I think I always bring it back to psychology and science, but it's proven, like, the way you, like, self-talk, it has a massive impact on the way you feel and the way you see yourself. And then that ties into your first point about pouring into yourself. You can only do that if you're starting from that positive mindset. And your space, I love that, because you can tell what emotional and psychological state I'm in by looking at my bedroom and looking at the makeup just strewn over, like, I had a hard week. But it's important to invest in that, because that's where you spend most of the time. So I love those tips. Thank you so much. And then the rest of you, we only have a few short minutes left before we get into audience questions. So Chloe, I'll start with you. One tip for someone starting their wellness journey.
One tip is really, really hard. But what I will say is nature. For me, that is something that we all have access to, and we should be making more of a conscious effort to be in. It's something that connects us not just to the world around us, but it actually does a lot for your inner well-being, for connecting with yourself. You can do a lot of solitude practices, just being out in nature, and it's way better than doing that in your house by yourself on a regular basis. And if I could just add one more thing, it's probably balance and consistency. So teaming all of those things up with everything everyone said. It's a journey, but accessing and making sure that you're on top of those things are really, really key, and you will see a difference.
I know it's hard. It's so freezing cold, but I think getting out has been, again, proven to make you feel much better.
5
so
minutes,
great.
5 minutes.
Yeah, just quick one. And then Trina, your one wellness tip.
Mine's not an easy one to do, but I'm actively trying to do it myself. So I will give this advice to other people, is ask for help. I already touched on it earlier. Whether it's community, whether it is therapy, whatever it is, it's not easy to do. I know that for sure, but asking for help and leaning on your support system around you.
Definitely, not going it alone. Dr. Joyce, your one wellness tip.
I think I've touched on a few things today, but I wanted to just say give yourself grace, because I know it's the end of the year, and I don't know if I asked you guys to put your hand up, how many people are tired? Like, we're all exhausted right now. We're exhausted. But I know the new year is coming, and you're going to be on TikTok, how to change your life for 2024. Please give yourself grace, take it easy. You don't need to, you want to do 10 things next year, that's fine. But understand there's a season for everything, and just actually start with the one thing and just be consistent in that one thing. And then when you have that established, you can go on to the next thing. Because I think when we try and do 5 things at once, that's when we get overwhelmed. We have 9 to 5s, we have passion projects, we have family, we have first daughter problems. We have a lot of things. So please give yourself grace, and just, I think I would just say, start with one thing at a time.
That's so important. I watched Renaissance on Friday, and I was like, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do it. And my friend was like, you need to calm down. And it's true, like, you can't do it all. Just one step at a time is so important. And then you, Alexis, what's your tip for someone starting their wellness journey?
I think release expectations of other people. I think as women, as black women, we are often... We often have quite a lot on our shoulders that we carry, and that's often not our stuff, it's from other people. And I'm kind of disagreeing a little bit here with Gina. Gina? Yeah. Surround yourself with people who will be okay with seeing your ugly side. So you don't always have to put your makeup on or do your hair, or you don't always have to show up and be on your best behavior. You know, sometimes you're going to lose your shit. You're going to get triggered, and you're going to be ugly. But surround yourself with people who will accept you in all your forms, not just when you're on your best behavior. So it's really important that you find those people. I've had to really work hard at finding people who are my people, and that's been a massive lesson. So surround yourself with people who accept you in all your forms.
I think that's great. And I think the difference there, it speaks to the beauty of human nature. Like what works for one person might not work for the other, and what works for you one day might not work the next day. So maybe, yeah, showing up as your most authentic self, whatever that may be, but also like dressing up, putting effort into yourself, and that also can do wonders. So I think it's beautiful from both ends of the spectrum. And then last but not least, balance. Last but not least, Gina, what is your one wellness tip someone starting their journey?
I think for me, a wellness tip would be reduce the amount you're on social media.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we've all been there. Like, people take social media breaks, some people take time off, but I just think even in terms of like the amount of hours you spend on a day, especially if you're looking at it and you're desiring someone else's life or you're comparing yourself, I'd say just reduce it. Reduce it. Even if you have to unfollow certain people because maybe you want what they have so bad, just do practical things that you can actually manage. And for me personally, from my own life, I would say reducing the amount of you're on social media definitely helps.
I think that's important because people could be scrolling constantly. I'm probably even looking at all of you ladies on the panel and think, oh, they have it figured out. Why don't I? But it's because you're just so deep into the highlight reel of everyone's lives and you're not really thinking about yourself. So yeah, so stay true to yourself. All of these advice, do what's best for you. And yeah, I just want to thank you, lovely ladies, for your tips. Before we get to questions, can we give them a round of applause, please? Okay, so we have some roaming mics going around. So if you have any questions, maybe think of them now and raise your hand so someone can come up to you. Oh, okay, and then we have a question over here. Sorry. Oh, God, I'm a bit blind. I should have worn my glasses for this. Sorry, it's a big hand. See, please wave your hands so I can see.
Hello. Thank you so much for sharing all your tips and being on the panel. Something that you all mentioned was burnout. And obviously, I'm sure many of us in the room, we have our full-time job, we have our passion project, and we have our side hustle, like you mentioned. And so what would you say was a piece of advice, really, because all of you have great businesses, books, and are truly following their passion, I'm assuming. So what would you say is a piece of advice that you would give to someone who wants to pursue their passion project full-time and leave their 9 to 5?
Who wants to take that? Alexis? Yeah.
I think the one tip I would say is your value isn't in your productivity. So your rest is just as important as your work life. And you can't be creative and show up properly if you don't have that rest time. So value that as much as you value, how much you do. Like yesterday, I booked myself a massage at home, and it's a luxury, but that's really important for me, and I can put that on business expenses, so it's good.
That's a hack. Put your massages on your business expenses. Gina, you have another answer.
I just want to add, because I started off working, I had a full-time job, and I was doing hair dressing on the side, and then it got to a point where it was too much to balance. Yeah. So then I went part-time at work, and then eventually I was able to go full-time. But I went full-time too quick. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I was too zealous. I was too excited, and I thought, this is my moment. And I didn't really think about the cons of a business. I always thought it was going to be great, because it was great when I went full-time, and then it went really bad. And then I was like stressed, because then I had money problems, and I needed to pay for this and pay for that. But I would say, like, we'll keep talking about balance, but I think balance is such a difficult thing because it's seasonal. Like, there's going to be seasons you're going to have to overwork, but I feel like you have to overwork to find that balance. So like she's saying, now she can book a massage, but I'm sure there's a point of time it was impossible to do that because you're having to graft and grind to actually get there. So I feel like be sharp and wise enough to pay attention to the business you're doing, that you truly know when it's time to go full-time, because sometimes we self-fund ourselves anyway. Do you know what I mean? Because even as, for me, it's only now that I'm learning about grants and funds and angel investors. Before, I didn't know about any of these things. I'm using my own money, but I had to have money to use to actually start my business. So I'd say pay attention to your craft and don't feel like you have to do it now, because there's so many bad points about business that no one talks about as well. So it's don't be afraid to hustle and that time of balance will come. But just take your time before you just like rush into it. And that's just from a personal like standpoint. So yeah, that's what
I think that's great. Like, we're in the age of like the multi-hyphenate, the serial entrepreneur, and it can be so exciting to just want to jump into it. But and it's
Yeah.
going to be different for everybody.
It's definitely
Yeah.
going to be different, but sometimes that jump is what burns you out, and you're not actually meant to have been burnt out in that season. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Chloe, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I did want to add something. I think you need to really figure out why you're doing this, why you want to take that big jump. If you're doing it, you know, if we're honest, right, validation is a massive part of our everyday lives, especially when it comes to work. So I would take time to figure out why you want to do this, what it means to you, what it means when you aren't earning, what it means when you could be earning everything. Just like have that time to yourself. I say it all the time, I say it in the book, but I think solitude is a really great way of learning who you are and what you're doing and why you're doing it. So just having that time to figure that out for yourself is really important, because validation can come, but it comes when you have nailed your craft. It comes when you are at peace with yourself, when you know what you're doing. I just, really want to like touch point on that. Like validation is a big one, but once you self-validate, everything else does eventually fall into place.
I think that's so important. You can get lost in the external words of affirmation and people telling you things, but you need to really check in with yourself.
That's also not a sign of your business doing well. There's a lot of people that get a lot of validation online, promotion online, and their businesses are crumbling. So don't always look at that. Look at what it means to you. What are you putting into it? I think the most successful business people are the ones that really know who they are, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and they have that mission at the forefront of their mind every day. They know why they're getting up. You know, it's not because there's a paycheck behind it. It's not because the Daily Mail who's the Daily Mail? But, another magazine or a publication are going to shout them out. So just remember that.
No, I think that's important as well, Chloe. Like the things that people might be celebrating you on the most, like the things that you show, it might not even be the things that's helping you the most. So we were talking about the things that's our biggest earners. We don't really promote that. We don't really talk about that. And you might be judging us based on what you see, but that's not necessarily the case. So be in tune with yourself and your journey. Next question. I think I saw a hand up over here. Yes, this lovely lady in the front in the green.
Hi, and
Oh, this jumpsuit is giving. Thank you. You look so good.
thank you. So my question is about boundaries. You spoke about working 7 days in a week. And, Toni also mentioned about self-love and putting yourself first. How do you deal with the guilt that comes with saying no, with certain boundaries, while you're still trying to work towards your dreams? I know you probably experienced this once or a couple of times, either with the business partners, with the companies you're working with, How do you deal with the guilt that comes with it?
Toni, do you want to take this? Yeah.
I think for me, I've come to a place now where thankfully I don't feel guilty, but that's because I had to put the work in. I think in the early stages when I did, communication was so important. A big part of any guilt I felt was me being hyper anxious, having that social anxiety and overthinking what they're thinking. Oh, they're going to think I'm lazy. They're going to think this. They're going to think that. They're going to think this. And my way of getting around that was just communicating, like over communicating. And if I couldn't do something or I was unwilling to do something, it wasn't just, I don't want to do it. It was, I'm really, really anxious right now, and I think I need some time to myself, so I'd prefer not to do this because I don't think I'm in the best headspace. And just being honest, I think my unwillingness to be vulnerable in the beginning was what made me guilty, because I would make certain decisions and just be like, oh my God, they probably think I'm a mean girl because I haven't texted back and I haven't replied. Meanwhile, they don't know I'm being super socially anxious, thinking I can't do this event, I can't talk, I feel really nervous. But because I didn't communicate that, I would feel guilty. So communication, I think, is foundation for me. So in all your managing of your boundaries, whether that's with family, with friends, just saying, I'm not willing to do this, or I don't want to do this, but this is why. I want you to understand the why. And then it helps you be at peace too, because you're not assuming a million horrible things that they're assuming.
I think that's great, and I loved your honesty about what we often do is think about what other people are thinking and how they're going to be perceiving us. But realistically, a lot of the times they're just thinking, other people are thinking about themselves. They're not really thinking about you. I think we overestimate the importance that we have in other people's lives, and then we like internalize that and we're hard on ourselves. So yeah, it's important to acknowledge that, but then recognize like, you can't really control what other people think, so just focus on you.
But
yeah, go on, Alexis.
I think it's about practice as well. The more you practice the boundaries, the more you see the benefits of those boundaries, the less guilty you're going to feel, because you're like, no, this actually works. This really works, and I feel so much better. And then I can give more to people afterwards. I can show up as a better person. So yeah. Practice.
Just one sentence. No one's going to love you or look out for you more than you look out for yourself. And that's what I've seen over the last 3 years. Working as a doctor, if I come to work, they're going to assume I can do everything. Okay? If I don't come to work and I can't do it, I can't do it. So I feel in the last 3 years, after post-pandemic, I know we're all wanting to just push forward, but no one is going to look out for you more than you. And sometimes you can explain yourself, but yourselves to other people. But to be honest, as long as you know the reason why you can't show up, that's enough. Because it's only you're trying to convince. Because once you tell them, I can't make it in an email, they'll look for someone else, or they'll go and do whatever else they need to do. So just look out for you and put yourself first. Yeah.
I think that's important, like knowing other people are capable. Like the world's not going to crumble if you don't turn up to something.
Somebody else will come.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody else will be
Yeah, Chloe, did you want to add something as well?
Just that Christmas is coming, and one of the best gifts you can get yourself is boundary, at least one. Set yourself one boundary. This is your gift for yourself.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? Yes, we have two on this side, one in the hall. Yeah.
I've just got a question. So how do you deal with people not accepting your craft? Let's say you're a content creator and you're putting yourself out there, but people are not accepting what you're doing. So like, what do you do? Do you stop, or you eventually find your audience? Thank you.
Yeah. Trina, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I think going maybe back to like the validation thing, I think when I first started, or I was kind of like seeking validation from other people, but when I really like focused on what my passion was, focusing on my why, kind of everything you said really, focused on my why and found my community and put a lot of my effort into that, that's when things really started changing for me. So definitely like focusing on creating a community, like forming a community definitely helped me, and just doing what I do really well and being consistent in that made a difference. And then I noticed people coming to me as opposed to me constantly seeking to go to other people. Yeah. That's how I noticed a big difference.
Yeah, Toni, did you want to add?
I'm very passionate about this because when I started, people had so much to say. I was on Twitter sharing my opinions. It was like, here she goes again. Shut up. No,
Twitter
like,
is so ruthless.
Every second I was getting trolled, and I almost stopped. There was one day people were coming for my neck. The guys, it was the men. They were like, we've had enough of this Toni Tone. And they were coming for me, and I was ready to just quit. And my mom was like, don't you frigging dare. And I'm so glad I didn't. But what I will say is this. It is much easier to criticize someone going for their dreams than to go for your own dreams. It is also much better to aim high and miss than to aim low and hit. People will always have something to say, but you are literally the captain of your own destiny. Do not steer your ship in a direction that is not beneficial to you just because of chitter-chatter that's going on behind you. Like, focus on you, focus on the life you want to live, focus on the goals you have for yourself. In my mind, I thought about the woman I wanted to become. What was that woman going to do? That woman was going to keep writing, and it paid off because now I'm a Sunday Times bestseller. Imagine if I stopped writing when they told me to stop writing. I wouldn't have my 2 books. People are always going to have something to say, but it's your life. And at the end of it, you'll be laughing because once you've chased your dream and you've reached your goal, they will still be there on Twitter talking. They will still be on social media talking, and it's the truth. There's a book called The 5 Regrets of Dying. It's a palliative care nurse, and she talks about The 5 Regrets of Dying, yeah. Says what it does on the tin. And basically, she said that one of the biggest regrets in that 5 regrets was, I wish I lived the life I wanted to live and lived in my truth as opposed to living the life other people wanted of me. At the end of the day, when you live your life and you are on your deathbed, you're not going to be thinking, oh, I feel so embarrassed for trying this thing I wanted to do and it didn't work out. You're going to be thinking about all the things you didn't do. And I always say this to my sister, like, in life, you do not want to live with regrets. If you do something, if you want to be a content creator and you try it and it fails, at least you tried it. If you want to be a model, you try it and it fails, at least you tried it. But at the end of the day, you can't look back at your life thinking, I never did all the things I wanted to do. Like, I will happily fail 1,000,000 times just so I don't have to say that, because the fear of embarrassment, trust me, is nothing compared to the fear tied to regretting the life you could have lived. So yeah, just do it, man. People always talk.
A sermon. Yes, Alexis.
And I also think on the flip side of that, you do have to pursue your own dreams, but you also have to think about, is this useful to the audience? Like, there's no point in just going on social media and showing your drunk nights out, or showing, this is an online journal where you just get to rant. Just make sure that it is useful to the people, and then eventually people will find you.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And just piggying back off that, I think sometimes you can get like tens or hundreds of positive comments, but that one negative comment, that's what you are focused on. Ignore that. I'm sure all of you guys, if you consistently work at something and your passion shines through, you will have supporters, but you're always going to have those negative comments. You just have to
And you're doing something right. If somebody has something to say, then you're on a good path.
Yeah. Okay, I think we have time for one last question. Over here in the front. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Winnie, and thank you for all your advices and those insights. It's very insightful for me. My question is there any process to find out our identity or who we are? Because I think it starts from there, and I feel like we struggle a lot, especially along our life, to find out our identity or who we are. So that would be...
It's a great question. Dr. Joyce, do you want to take that one?
I think identity, I think growing up, first of all, your identity is based on your family, it's based on the experience, where you come from, the friends you have at that moment. And I think the older you get, the more experiences you have, the more you start to find yourself. And I think that's a huge question. I don't know how to necessarily answer that one question. But what I can say myself is, to find who I am, I feel like I'm still finding that, and it actually is a very enjoyable process, is I'm opening myself up to opportunities. So I know we're talking about people not looking or doing things. Actually, right now, it's like, actually, I'm going to try and see if I like it, and see if that's something that, actually makes me happy. And if I don't like it, perfect, I put you to the side. Then if there's something else I like, fine. I think I like talking to people. I think I'm going to start an IG series. Okay, just randomly, we'll do that. And then I identify that maybe I like hosting, I like talking. And then later on down the line, they will invite you to speak with these amazing women on the panel. For me, it's actually finding out, what do you actually enjoy? Don't make it complicated. I think I like this, I think I like this, I think I like this. Actually start and try it. And then by process of elimination, you'll start finding the things that are actually important to you. And you can draw in your community to help, but I think sometimes you don't need too much chatter when you're really trying to figure out yourself. So for me, I would say to try and find out who you are or get to know who you are. You have a baseline based on your family and your parents and your community that you grew up with. But as you get older, I think it's important that you start identifying what you like, why you like those things, and why that is important to you. And also not being afraid of exploring the other exciting things out there. I think for me, when I grew up, I don't know, I'm still looking for the person that told me to do medicine, because I'm like, I've always said I wanted to do medicine, right? And then I felt like I had to lead my life in a way that you can't do this because you're going to be a doctor. And I'm Nigerian. My parents are like, you can't have red hair. Doctors don't have red hair. You can't have this. You can't. And I got to a point where I'm like, being a doctor is literally a tiny, tiny part of me. And there's so many other things I want to be able to do. And there's no reason why I can't do that. So for me now, if I want to speak, I'm going to try that. If I want to, do whatever, start a company, I'm going to try that. If I fail, actually, I pivot because I'm like, actually, I like that. And over the last year, and last 2 years, actually, I've been able to find things that I love, and everything has made sense. Actually trying things and failing at things, the things I was doing 2 years ago was definitely I'm not doing that right now, but it makes so much sense how I got here because I was able to find out what I actually liked and didn't like about it. So I would say, again, don't put too much pressure on yourself, but just start with like the basic things that you feel like you like. If you look at other people on social media, you can use social media negatively or positively. You can be like, oh my God, they're doing this. I think I like that. Let me try it. Try it out. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay. You move on to the next thing that you feel like you like. But yeah, it's a journey. My mom at 50 is still figuring herself out, and I love it, right? So I'm like, why am I stressing out at 28? We have so much time.
Yeah, and the journey is never ending. Like you said, exploration is important because we're constantly evolving. Yeah. You today might not be you tomorrow, do you know what I mean? And that's beautiful. So just to wrap things up, I want to thank you, lovely ladies, and thank you guys for your insightful questions. All right, enjoy the rest of the event.